Just one day after Stephen Harper revealed his new, younger cabinet, a leaked email shows the shuffle may not bring much of a shift. Seems the Prime Minister's office is giving ministers some extra help by providing a list of political enemies. Rosemary Barton has that email and some of the reaction to it. Rosemary.
Paul, Stephen Harper may have a new cabinet with some fresh faces, but this internal email suggests his style of governing may not be all that different. Day one for new ministers is spent getting up to speed on their new jobs, deep in briefing books and binders, but included in those binders, warnings. From the Prime Minister's issues management team in an email obtained by CBC News, some advice. What to avoid: pet bureaucratic projects. Who to avoid: bureaucrats that can't take no or yes for an answer. Who to engage or avoid: friend and enemy stakeholders. Environmentalist John Bennett says he's probably one of those enemies.
They believe in forcing ideology, and if you're forcing ideology on the Canadian public, then you see people like me as an enemy, and that's unfortunate.
As for what it does to the strained relationship between the government and bureaucrats,
that's their role, to give advice, whether the government likes it or not. So I don't think that public service, the bureaucracy will like that too much, and appreciate the government for saying that.
The Prime Minister's office says it doesn't comment on internal communications, only that ministers are being briefed on their new portfolios. But it doesn't deny the email exists or the overall message either, leaving the opposition to say the cabinet shuffle changed very little.
They're a little bit paranoid, let's be honest, but they also have this for you or against you kind of attitude where unless you are towing their line and marching to the beat of their drum, you are an enemy.
Nothing makes it clearer that this cabinet shuffle was not a change in direction for the government, but instead is the same old government, the same Prime Minister with the same paranoid style and lack of transparency.
Various former chiefs of staff, deputy ministers, and bureaucrats contacted by CBC News say what's unusual here is the blunt characterization of some groups as friends or enemies and the warnings about certain bureaucrats. And they say writing it down in the first place was probably a mistake. Paul.
Thanks, Rosemary. Rosemary Barton tonight on Parliament Hill. The PMO's checklist for those transition binders had 10 points. It also included information on what to say in question period, hot issues, legal action, and complaints to expect soon, upcoming meetings and events ministers should attend, and key people to appoint to agencies, boards, and commissions.